So the first thing that you want to do is you want to gather all of your ingredients and tools. You're going to need some sugar, some flour, some cinnamon, some baking powder, not baking soda, and some vanilla and some eggs. And then you're going to gather some tools. You're going to have 1/4 of a cup, 1/3 of a cup. You're going to need a tablespoon. A tablespoon and a teaspoon. Okay, and then you're also going to need some butter, a spatula, and about a 9-inch, maybe 7-inch pan. This is a non-stick pan, so if you have a non-stick, use non-stick. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pan over to the stove, and I have this really tiny burner. I'm going to turn the burner on. Okay, I'm going to put that over the pan on it, and I'm going to turn the heat down to medium. And then I'm going to start putting my stuff together. So we're going to put 1/3 of a cup of flour, 1/3 of a cup of flour, 1/4 of a cup of sugar, a teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of vanilla, and an egg, and then a dash of cinnamon. So we are going to put the dry ingredients in one bowl, okay, and then we're going to put the wet ingredients in another, and then we're going to mix the wet into the dry. Also, anytime you're working with flour, I am using a KitchenAid just to fluff it up a little bit, so that way you get a full fill. Okay, so then you're just going to shake it. Okay. And then you're going to put that in your dry, which should be the one with the spout. Okay. And then you're going to take 1/4 of a cup of sugar. Make sure it's crushed up. It doesn't have to be packed or anything. Make sure it's even. And then 1/3 cup of sugar. This is a very sweet treat, so just be aware. Then we're going to take some cinnamon. I'm going to give it about that much. 3 good shakes. And then we're going to take a teaspoon of baking powder and push that in there. And then we're going to take a real whisk, and we're going to mix that up so that it's homogeneous. Okay. You might also need a bowl for putting your stuff in. So then you can close up all of these, close them up and put them away. Trust me, just close them up and put them away. And then we're going to take and mix our wet ingredients. So we're going to take 1 egg, which I've already cracked into the bowl, and a teaspoon of vanilla, and about 1/4 of a cup of water. So then we're going to take our whisk, and we're going to break up the egg, and we're going to give this a good mixing so that the egg is all broken up and homogeneous. Try not to make a mess, because I'm really good at it. Okay, so you're going to want 2 types of whisk. You're going to want a very fine whisk and kind of an open whisk. This is one off of my KitchenAid hand mixer. So I highly recommend having one of these for doing the next step. So the next step is we're going to pour this liquid mixture into the dry mixture. Okay. You can use a spatula if you want to. And then you're going to mix this just until the crumbs are wet. Okay, so you don't want to mix it too terribly much. Just enough so that the crumbs are wet. And then we're going to go over to the stove. Hopefully your pan is piping hot. Okay, I'm going to get a knife. I might need a knife to cut the butter. So you're going to see that there's bubbling. That's good. That means that the baking powder is working. You're going to take just about a tablespoon of butter, and you're going to put that in the pan. And you're going to roll that around in the pan to make sure it doesn't stick to the sides. Okay. And if it stopped bubbling, that means that there's no more water. Good. So we're going to turn this down to low, very, very low. Okay? Very low. And then you're going to put your mixture in the pan, and then you're going to let it set for about 5 minutes. I need to get a timer. I have a timer here. I'm going to set it for 5 minutes, and then I will come back. Okay. Make sure that it's all the way maneuvered about, okay, and then you're just going to turn this up just to medium, and you're just going to let it set for about 5 minutes. Meanwhile, you can clean up your mess. So what the baking powder does is it has two ingredients in it. One that activates when it hits water and it makes a bubble. That's baking soda. And then it has an acid in it that makes the baking soda act again with heat. And so when it starts to heat up, they expand again to make a bigger bubble. So right now you can kind of see it's starting to bubble about. I have mine just a little bit on medium-high because I like mine a little crunchy on the bottom. So you're going to wait until this is like nice and big and bubbly, and it's going to almost double in size. See how it's getting nice and bubbly? You might want to move it around in the pan if you notice that there's more bubbles on one side than on the other. So here you see that most of the bubbles have popped. Okay, so as soon as most of the bubbles have popped, you can do what I like to call the punch test. So I'm going to try and show you what this looks like. I have no idea if this is going to come out good. Okay, so what I do is I take the pan in one hand and I have way out on the end. And if you're using a metal pan, it's going to be hot. So use protection. And then what you could do is you could take your pan and pop it. And if you can see it popping up in the pan, you can't really see it, but it's moving freely. So then what you can do is you can take a large spatula, put it underneath the pancake, as far as it'll go, and then 1, 2, 3, it'll give you just enough time to flip it. Okay, if it's on the side, it's fine. And it's gonna be a little brown on the bottom. It's fine. You're gonna cover it in chocolate or whatever anyway. This is why we use a low heat. Or medium low. The better oil that you use, the more high temperature oil that you use, the less browning you will have. It's got a lot of sugar in it, so it's gonna brown. The less sugar that you use in it, the less it will brown. And as you can see, the beat test is good. That means it's finished. You take your pancake and your pan and just right onto the pan. And there you have a beautiful pancake. Serve and enjoy. Nice fluffy pancake.